Hello, I'm Dirty Toilet. Um, there's some things I kind of want to get off my chest. These are just opinions. I have no concrete facts or evidence for any of this. I don't like being conspiracy brained. Um, it puts people in dark places, and what happens is you turn into MAGA. I don't want to turn into someone like MAGA. Um, my thoughts right now are I think Donald Trump did not win 2024 election. I personally think he cheated. And my evidence for this I will get to as soon as I'm done doing whatever I'm doing here. Um, yeah. Okay, so my evidence of this is in the swing states. Pull this up. This was the first election I've ever voted, and I'm in Wisconsin. That to me is a pretty close, like, there's it's pretty like 30,000 votes. Like that's almost exact. That's now the reason that this really like puts me on the conspiracy, oh hey, I think Mr. Trump cheated is because he's he has a history of trying to cheat elections. In the 2020 election, he cheated. He tried to. Or I don't know if you consider it trying to or if he did, but he had fake slate of electors. He called Georgia saying, "Hey, get me 11,000 votes." But like in Wisconsin itself, 30K. This one's a little further, but like these are really close. And like his whole MAGA like Texas, whatever, but his whole MAGA people, like I can definitely see those people if they're in places where you count polls, inflating his numbers that way. And like I don't know, like I don't like Trump. I don't like what he stands for. I'm biased against him. I'll totally acknowledge that. But like I'm also not a person to not admit when he's defeated. And or based on that, like or what I'm trying to say here is like I'll admit when I'm wrong. I'll admit when my team loses. I'm not gonna like flip the board or anything. Like when Trump won in 2016, I wasn't particularly into politics then because I was still young. Um, but like it annoyed me, and I was like, all right, whatever. But like with seeing all of this, all of how many fucking Republicans are in with Russians, how Trump himself is Putin's friend, like how he says blatant things like you're never going to have to vote again. This is the last election you'll have to vote in. Shit like that. It just it bothers me. And like these are just opinions and like I have other things too. I'm moving it over here cuz like I don't want to I'm going to Twitter, and if Twitter has some unmentionables on it, I don't want it to pop up. Um, so there's this guy. His name's Grim Golden whatever Angel. He from like right here. He specifically said that he's coming here to illegally vote for Donald Trump as a European national. And from what I know, this dude, like, I know this can be fake. I know, like, the way he would have to do it is just weird. But, like, there are people around the world that are like this, that are this crazy, and that would, risk jail time to come and fuck with our election. And this dude himself is pretty yuck. But, like, it's shit like that. And then, like, I don't, I can't, I personally can't believe that more than half of America, or half of America, voting America, whatever you want to go with, are just that dumb, or that, like, they're just that ignorant. Like, he's a felon. Like, even if you're a Republican, you're supposed to be the party of law and order. This dude's a felon. Like, if you read the cases, I've read the cases, it's it's obvious that this dude is not a good dude. He's a felon. Like, and Harris, like, she's almost overqualified. Like, I can't believe that there are so many people out there that would just not vote for her just because she's a woman. Like, I'm 30. Most of the people who are, well, not most, but a huge chunk of the people who are voting are around my age and are probably voting for the first time in their lives, maybe, because I used to never think my vote mattered. Um, they like their majority of them think like me. They were raised by people like my mother, who believed in free thinking, who believed in freedom. She grew up in like the Vietnam era. My mother's 70. She grew up in the Vietnam. She was born in 54. She grew up, like, fuck the government, shit like that. But, like, she she believes in, like, helping other people. She's not like just fuck the government. She believes in helping the people, and she wants the government to do the right thing. I like to think. We had an argument or a discussion today, and she's like something along the lines of, if I can remember correctly, something along the lines of, you shouldn't trust the government. Government's not trustworthy. And I tried to tell her, I'm like, in some aspects, you're right. The government can be untrustworthy, but we need a government as a society to function. And in today's day and age, from my understanding, the government does do its best to help people. Like, you've got all these programs, like, a lot of local government goes out of their way for their communities. Like, the people who don't, like, we have socialist policies. My mother, she takes advantage of Social Security. Like, all of these things that Trump is just against, and all of the people who follow him are just against, because they either don't understand or they just don't care because they want to line their pockets. Like, I can't believe people would vote for that. I can't. And like people, like even when you're arguing, like, oh, it was better under Trump or whatever, it wasn't. Trump for the first, I think it's 2 or 3 years, he was, it was Obama's economy. And then the last year and a half is when you really started to feel Trump's policies, I believe. And then COVID hit, which he handled even worse, which made it go even worse. And so people voted for Biden because Trump just wasn't doing a good job. And like he was being pretty like out there with his just being bigoted and shit and ignorant and just not smart. And people, I like to think, recognize that. And then Biden took office and he had to deal with Trump's policies for 2 to 3 years. And even in that case, Biden was doing a really good job. Trump didn't pass any legislation that I know of during his presidency. Biden passed numerous legislation. He was very bipartisan, and it was against a MAGA government, a MAGA Republican government that didn't like him. They didn't want him to do anything. They wanted the same thing that they wanted with Obama. They wanted him to be a lame duck president to get nothing done. But like Obama, he fought against the odds and did a good job, in my opinion. And he's doing a good job. And Harris, like when she first ran for president against Biden, like I'll be one to admit that she wasn't the right candidate then because she didn't really know how to appeal to both sides. She didn't know how to compromise, which is what I think a president needs to do. They need to be able to go in there and recognize like trends and also recognize how you need to treat people and how people should be treated. I like to think that our president has a general moral scale. So what I mean by that is like he recognizes the morals over here which want people to die and innocents to be killed, and then recognizes the morals over here which thinks Earth should be a utopia and everyone should get whatever they want anytime they want all the time, which obviously both of these you can't do. And so I think the president should come into the trend to the like trending morals where like the general public moves like, towards these things. And typically I think the general public stays into the center towards more human rights because no one likes suffering. Even bad guys don't like suffering. They don't like seeing their own people suffer. And by that logic, once the bad guys become big enough, their own people become everybody. You know what I mean? And they don't want to see their people suffer, is how I'm putting it. But I think the president should stay, not center exactly. Like he can lean, I don't mind if he leans right. I don't mind if he leans left. Like as long as it's not drastic. In my opinion, Trump is drastic. He's fully embraced the conspiracy nut right wing shit and has just been blatantly bigoted. And he himself said he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue. I think that's the quote, and get away with it. And I believe that now. This dude has been proven rapist. He's To get back to my earlier point on Harris, she I think as her time as vice president, I think she learned a lot, from how to be presidential, how to appeal to the wider public and everything, and not just appeal to like her own beliefs and her own agenda and shit. Like, I personally think she recognized that. And I think in her campaign, it showed that. Like, she gave, she did something I don't know if I could ever do if I was in her position. And she gave Republicans an out. She said, like, hey, like, you don't need to embrace the MAGAs. Like, we can come back to normal, shit like that. And people just wanted that. We won't, like, people, I don't like dealing with these MAGA Republicans. Like, they're crazy. I don't understand how they got so popular. Like, I can understand the appeal of, like, of being part of something bigger, shit like that. I can understand, like, oh, you're a little conspiracy brained and you don't think the government's for you, or you think the government is against you. But, like, that's not what a government's supposed to do. Like, even in parts of the world where the government is bad, they, from my understanding, still need to appeal. They still need to do the bare minimum for their people, because you need people for labor, you need people, to function as a society. How you get that labor is up to the government, and typically our government, the way it gets labor is it pays its workers. It gives incentives to companies to be able to pay their workers good wages so that people like living here. Because if people start living, then you don't have money. Or if people start leaving, you don't have money here. Like, it's America, it's going to take a lot of people I know to get to affect our economy like that. But, like, yeah, and, like, I don't see how so many, like, I have a buddy who's in the military, and he voted for Trump. I believe if I remember correctly, he voted for Trump in 2016 and 2020. And this year, I don't know if he was lying or not, because he claimed he doesn't like to have conversations with me, or he claims he doesn't like having conversations with us about me because I'm too biased or whatever. But that's a whole nother story. I've had 3 conversations total about politics with him in our adult lives, and, like, that's another story, like, altogether. But, like, he he said he didn't vote this time, and to me that's like, and, like, a lot of the argument that for a lot of the reason that people didn't, like, the Democrats didn't come out to vote to Harris again like they did Biden, was because of apathy. And, like, I can see that, I guess, but 20 million people are just that apathetic. And then, like, that doesn't, that line of thinking just doesn't really track for me. And, like, I don't know, my brother, he's a MAGA Republican. I always thought of him as a smart guy. But, like, when they say it's a cult, I I look at my brother and I believe them, because he, in 2020, he had a Trump shrine. Like, he's he's my brother's, a little bigoted, but he's still an all around, like, I like to think he's a good person. I don't talk to him. I haven't talked to him for a few years now, and it's not because of politics. It was something else entirely. It was the way he treated me. And, like, I know I just contradicted myself by saying I like to think he's a good person, but he treats other people much better than he treats me and my mother. Um, and like that's that's a thing growing up in my life. I told him like the first time I'd stopped talking to him was when I was 16, I think. Stopped talking to him for a couple months. I started talking to him again, and we lived in the same house. I just blatantly like ignored him and shit. And when I started talking to him again, I told him, I was like, "Don't treat me like that again. Like I don't like it." Um, he started doing it again. I think when I just after I got out of high school, so I stopped talking to him for like another few months. Started talking to him again. I said, "Joey, if you were anybody else," said his name. That's his name. But I said if you were anybody else, I would have stopped talking to you first time. Instantly, never talk to you again. Because that's what I do. I cut people out of my life that affect me negatively, that really bring me down. And he did it again. A few years, he did fine, and then he started doing it again a few years later. Cut him out of my life. Yeah, but like my point being, I got a little distracted there. My point being is, I, regardless of how he treated me, he still treated other people fine. Like he he doesn't like gay people, doesn't like trans, but like he was a live and let live guy. Like he might, at least I thought he was. But like Trump pops into the picture and he fucking crazy about it now. And like I just don't get it. I I can understand Trump having his little cult or big cult, whatever. But I don't understand how even with his cult, Kamala still lost because from the look at this fucking screen here, Trump only got 74 million, and that's less than what he got uh 2020, I think. Um I can just fucking do they not just have like a number? I okay there. Like 81 he literally got almost exactly the same as he got last time. You're telling me, like, I don't believe that. I don't believe this. Unless this, whatever CNN politics is wrong, I just don't believe this. And, like, I guess it was just as close last time, but, like, for Wisconsin, and I didn't vote in this election. I don't know. I just don't. I don't like being conspiracy brain, but I just don't believe this. And I feel like the Republicans did in this election. But like, yeah, those are my thoughts. If Trump didn't try to cheat in the 2020 election, I would just accept this probably. I like to think I would. But since he has a history of cheating, and the Republicans themselves had a history of cheating, I don't believe this. These are my thoughts on this election. I think Trump cheated this time. Yeah, I think he cheated again, and I think this time he's getting away with it. And I say that in quotes because I really hope evidence comes out that he is cheating. And that's not because it's not just because he's not my candidate. It's because I feel really stupid thinking like this, and I really want something to validate my thoughts because I feel crazy, and I don't want to feel crazy. Because like I know thinking like this is probably bad. But it's just I just can't believe it. And then you have all those stories of the votes of people saying their votes aren't being counted. And like I tried tracking my vote and my vote disappeared in Wisconsin. And I emailed the hold on. Well, I emailed the I think they're the county clerk is what they're called. And they told me it's going to take 30 days for your history or whatever to show up, and I was just like I didn't respond back. I probably should, but like okay, I guess if that's how it is, I don't know if that's the norm, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, these are my thoughts. I just wanted to get it out in the world. I wanted to put my thoughts out there. If you have any any thoughts, feedback, or whatever, hit me up on Twitter. Um, I'm willing to add you on Discord and we can have a chat about it. Comment. Let me know your thoughts. Show me if you have evidence for the contrary or evidence that he is cheating. I'd like to see both of it because I don't like thinking like this where my only evidence is I believe circumstantial. I believe it's called circumstantial. I'm not very smart. I only have GED. Um, so like I don't really have an education. I guess I'm not learned smart, but I like to think I'm not stupid. Like, you know, I guess. And like I feel like in the case of I only have a GED, I feel like me as a person, I can kind of represent I can identify with the average American, or just, yeah, the average American and how they think. And I'm from the Midwest, born and raised. So like, yeah, those are my thoughts. Hit me up on Twitter or comment here. I think I'm gonna post this video on Twitter too. Add me on Discord if you want to have a chat about this. Show me evidence. Or just call me an idiot. I'm fine with all of them. I can take it. I don't know if this video is going to blow up or not, but hey, if it does, I stream on both Kick and Twitch. And Kick, I just got a subscribe button so I can start making money. Yeah, those are my thoughts. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Stay safe out there.